had a really great meeting, and we're very proud of the party. We like everybody really in the room. I don't like a few people, but that's okay. I think you know who they are. And Iran is being very nice. They're agreeing to everything that I want, and they have to. Otherwise, we just go back and do what we have to do.
Pretty ugly behind.
It looked like what they did was they decided to vote against his war powers in Iran. We're going to get this little summary from this guy right here. Got a little bit more information to give you.
Closed doors when President Trump came to Capitol Hill to meet with GOP senators amid a series of feuds that have left his party in a state of disarray.
I'm not going to be bullied when I'm trying to get answers for the American people.
The fight was
This Bill Cassidy right there. I just, showed y'all a clip of him. He was fighting with President Trump. But he wasn't fighting with him. He was just trying to get answers.
Between Senator Bill Cassidy of Louisiana, a Republican senator who actually voted to convict Donald Trump in his second impeachment trial. Trump paid him back by endorsing his primary rival just a month ago. Cassidy lost that primary bid, even though Cassidy did everything he could to get into Trump's good graces. Since Cassidy lost, he has come back and been a thorn in the president's side, including over the issue of Iran. And that is the issue that bubbled up behind closed doors. President Trump making very clear he did not appreciate the fact that Cassidy and 3 other Republican senators voted just a day prior to limit President Trump's war powers with Iran. Cassidy and him got into a back and forth. Things got rather heated. Trump told Cassidy to sit down. Cassidy would not sit down, I'm told from sources who were in the room. And then Trump called him a lunatic. Cassidy responded by referring to Trump as his brother. President Trump said, "You are not my brother." Eventually, things subsided and Cassidy sat down. When Trump left that closed-door meeting, he did not answer reporters' questions, but seemed to make a reference to Cassidy.
We like our leader. We like everybody really in the room. I don't like a few people, but that's okay. I think you know who they are.
But there is so much concern in the United States Senate about the way President Trump has been making demands that simply cannot be met because the votes aren't there to pass his.
Okay. So I just showed y'all a clip of Trump calling that sitting senator a lunatic. Y'all seen that part, right? But I want to talk about why that senator was the only one in that room who could actually afford to say what he said, right? I showed y'all Bill Cassidy. And he already lost his primary this year. And, the president endorsed his challenger and then he lost. So sit with that for a second. That man has then left to lose with this admin. He ain't got no primary to fear, no future endorsement to chase. He's a senator with a few months left in office and zero incentive to play nice. He was front row on his impeachment trial when he was getting impeached last time he was in. So I guess he still got a grudge with him. That's why he said, "I'm not your brother." There's probably other reasons why he said, "I'm not your brother," but that's what kind of went on, I guess. And that's exactly why he's the one who stood up in that room and said what the other 3 Republicans were probably just thinking and saying out loud. So let's hear what this guy finishes in telling us, okay?
Bill to overhaul voting in the United States, the so-called Save America Act that would require voters to provide a proof of citizenship to register to vote. That bill has failed multiple times in the United States Senate. Trump has essentially derailed his agenda, including abruptly scrapping a signing ceremony for a major bipartisan housing bill on the same day he was coming to Capitol Hill to meet with Senate Republicans. A number of GOP senators, from Senator Lisa Murkowski, as well as Senator Kevin Cramer, a more conservative member, have expressed concerns about that position.
I've been pretty clear that the Save America Act has no chance of passing. But even despite that, we've been able to move his agenda along.
Is he hurting your chances of keeping the majority?
I'm just going to say I don't think it helps. People want us to be able to deliver on priorities, absolutely, and they want to focus on things that they're talking about back home, which is affordability.
All right, so that's y'all. Let's look at the math here. You got 4 Republicans voted to check the president's war powers, and only one of them is a guy already on his way out the door. And that's not a coincidence. That's what happens when disagreeing with the president is genuinely dangerous to your career. People with something left to lose mostly fall in line. The one person who already lost everything is the one person free to actually ask the question. So Cassidy said it himself. You have not told the American people what's going on. It was supposed to last 4 weeks. It lasted 4 months. Our original objectives have not been achieved. That's not a radical question. All right. That's the most basic question Congress is supposed to ask before approving billions more for a war. So the president called himself, not himself, called the guy a lunatic. He told him to sit down, and the room gets loud enough that somebody physically pulls Cassidy back into his chair. That's pretty much what they're reporting. And that moment is what's all over the headlines, and I get why it's good TV. You know he liked that. But it's also a distraction from the actual question Cassidy asked, which nobody in that room answered. He didn't get told anything, right? They just told him to sit back down. uh, but hours later in the Oval Office, the president told Time magazine directly what the Senate vote was. Quote, meaningless, right? Because we know he gonna do whatever he want to do, and Iran sees that. They go, what's that all about? No, it's meaningless, right? So that's basically what he was saying. Like, it don't matter what they do, I'm still gonna do what I want to do. So he also took a swing at the Democrats in the same interview, joking how he's changed, how he says their name. We'll let you look that up yourself. It's not something we need to repeat here. But separately, like the White House has asked Congress for like nearly about $70 billion in additional funding for the Iran conflict on top of the existing military budget that they're already asking for. But if I had a question, if I'm asking what are our objectives and what have we met them, right? It gets you called a lunatic in a closed door room. What does that tell you about how the other three who voted the same way are going to vote next time? What does it tell you about the senators who agreed with Cassidy privately but didn't say anything at all? And this is the part I keep coming back to. It took a man with nothing left to lose to ask the most basic oversight question there is. That should bother you regardless of what you think about Iran. So it's a war that was supposed to last like 4 weeks, and 4 months later, the only senator free enough to ask why is the one who already lost his seat. So that's not a story about Iran. That's just a story about what it actually costs to agree with this president out loud. We'll keep track of this one as it moves. Remember, we don't forget on this channel.